Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Do not forget, if you want to listen to the show on the internet and also all the past shows, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, if you hear something like some sort of, that's my dog. It's kind of warm today, and my dog is with me in the office. So that's not a sound effect. That's a real dog. Now, every time I come on the show, I always say, oh my God, 3 hours. How can fill them up? Trust me, there is not that problem because we are living in such an interesting time. So very, let's say interesting, it's a sarcastic way. They are very scary time in some ways, even they're exciting times. Because I really believe, this generation is facing a reality that if we do not do the right thing, first of all, we're going to get stuck too. But for sure, whoever comes after us, they're going to live in hell. Because this is just the beginning. And there's so many things. That's why I say, why am I doing this? I always repeat myself every Sunday. Honestly, it's almost 4 years I'm on the air. I cannot believe it. And as I said before, I said many times, I have many things I can do in my life. I do not need a radio show to be fulfilled. Honestly, lately it's becoming almost a big effort because it takes a lot of my time. But then I look at this as the big picture. And I say every one of us at the end has to follow their call, has to do what they think is right, to try to, as I said, this is not just about political things. It's about good against evil. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saint. I'm not here to try to say I'm holy. I'm a regular guy and I have a lot of problems. But I tell you something, when it comes to this reality we are facing, I really believe we are facing evil. As humanity, as a free humanity, we are facing a dark cloud. That if we don't fight back all together, I don't care if you're in Africa, Italy, Germany, America, Montana, Arizona, we are all facing the same global tyranny. And at that point, every one of us, regardless where you are, you must try, at least you should try to do what you can. And I'm not talking about, taking arms right now. This is not the time. I'm talking about start to awake, start to, let's say, educate, try to share information to our fellow human being. That's my goal here. As I said, this show now is becoming across the borders of Arizona, and of course cross the borders of the United States. And I like that as much as I declare myself a nationalist, because I really believe I'm not a global citizen. I am an American, period. So much that I also burned my Italian passport. So I'm not trying to play here, oh, we are all together, we are global citizens. No, I'm an American. And I respect my fellow citizens of other countries. Because why I say that? Because I believe in nationalism. Because nationalism means that we have our own sovereignty with our own laws. I don't want to be mixed up with some third world country that is pretty much, there is no even the hint of a Bill of Rights. People say, oh, we should be all the same. No, we are not all the same, unfortunately. I wish every country had a Bill of Rights with some, inalienable rights, like freedom of speech, like the Second Amendment, like the Third, the Fourth, and all the amendments that we have. No, that doesn't happen. You go to Europe, just because of your speech, you can be put in jail. I mean, for myself here, every time I've been on this show, if I was right now in Italy, I would have been arrested every week. Think about it. Just because of my opinions. That's the fact. So I don't want to become part of the global slavery out there. At the same time, I hope the rest of humanity will fight back together for the common goal of freedom. That's it. How do we do it? We must learn what's going on. We must educate ourselves. That's why I'm here. That's why I find the energy. Otherwise, I could not care less. Simple as that. Now, I have a guest, he's a friend, a man I've been knowing so many years. Even, of course, the last 10 years, we lost completely touch because, he lives another state. But it's been pretty much one of my first contacts when I started my awakening. And I want to call it a political awakening. I call it like a duty awakening, because for me, political is not an abstract word. It's a duty as an American to get involved in important issues, like the invasion of this country. We've been invaded. California was the first experiment. Unfortunately, America lost there. It's an occupied territory. But guess what? It didn't happen like overnight. And many good Californians try everything they could to try to stop that. And among those was my friend Frank Jorge, that, by the way, is, he was even born here. Like myself, I was born in Italy, he was born in Cuba. And today we are looking at this reality, 10, 15 years later, for sure the last few years, what's happening to America. But I say just the last few months. I really believe if you read history, if you compare with other civilizations, other countries, we are living in very dangerous times. I would compare this moment right now, what's happening to America, to a very well planned revolution to destroy our republic and to create, through force, because they're using force and violence, a new socialist/Marxist type of government. People say, you must be out of your mind. No, I'm not. First of all, the Bolshevik under Lenin didn't start overnight. They didn't have power immediately, but they started to beat up people. They started to burn buildings. They started to build, to destroy monuments. And then finally they came down to this frontal attack. But the point is, before even that, look what we have right now in many states. I mean, we have states that are declared socialist. I mean, when I talk about Oregon, we want to talk about Seattle, or you want to go to, some part of Washington state. The city council is declared socialist. The minimum wages and everything else, it's completely out of a Marxist agenda. Anyway, let me shut up. Let me bring my friend Frank Jorge. Frank, are you there?
I'm here, Luca.
All right, man.
So glad to have this opportunity to speak with you and your audience.
Very good. Thank you. And I always appreciate your input and feedback because, you're an interesting guy that has been around, first of all, as a human being for a while, but also as experience. You were born in another country, and then you came here, and you still have some sort of connection to even a place that now you don't live anymore, but Cuba was the place where you were born. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you still have family or some sort of friends, I don't know. But the point, you can see with better eyes exactly how everything can change overnight. Not because the things that were great before Castro, don't get me wrong, but for sure it got worse. What do you think about what's happening right now in America compared to Cuba?
Well, Luca, there are similarities there, and I'll tell you why. By the way, I got here in the United States in 1957. I was then about just 7 years of age, 2 years before Fidel Castro took over that particular country. And the country itself was affluent before he took it over. It was actually economically doing well. But what helped Fidel Castro was the media. The actual war between Fidel Castro and the tyrant government claimed only 200 lives. So it wasn't a military battle of any kind, really. Mm-hmm. How Fidel Castro was able to take over the country was through a media that was complicit. And a lot of that media was here in the United States. Now, Luca, we hear a lot about the fake media. Of course, President-elect Donald Trump, when he was running for president, kept calling them out as being the fake media. And now the Bolshevik uprising that we're looking at in the United States, and seeing these people come out with their Antifa masks and everything on, dressed in black, destroying things, attacking people. And of course, they are communists. That's what they are. Black Lives Matter, another group that is communist-backed and communist-friendly. We're seeing what would appear on the surface to be a Bolshevik uprising. We see how the media is complicit. I followed the events of Charlottesville, Virginia, very closely. Mm-hmm. I knew a few months ahead of time that white nationalists were going to be staging a rally trying to stop the takedown of the statue of General Lee, the Confederate general. in what was once known as Lee Park. The name was changed a year ago to Emancipation Park, our politically correct country now. And in the aftermath, when they were attacked, and it wasn't just white nationalists that were there, you also had constitutionalists of every color, black, brown, yellow, who showed up at that rally. And all we heard about was the white supremacists, the white supremacists. That's what the media kept pumping out. And they barely ever said anything about Antifa, calling them out for their violence, looking into the issue and seeing that the mayor, Michael Signer, is a person who is aligned with Barack Obama, and that the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, likewise. And, the power structure there told the police to stand down and herded the ones that held the legal permit. This would be the white nationalists in particular, and the constitutionalists, in such a direction that they would collide with Antifa. And police were told to stand down as the Antifa practiced violence on everybody. So I'm looking at a mainstream media that is complicit in everything that's going on. It's lying 24/7. The only places to find the truth are programs like yours and a few others. Even Fox carried the false white supremacist narrative, and everybody was getting down on white supremacists. That was not the story. The story was that there was a rally that was scheduled, free speech, as we're supposed to have under our constitutional First Amendment rights, that was stifled by communists with the help of the government establishment there in Virginia itself. And after that time, and even before that time, we have seen many instances where Antifa and the communists show up to shut down a free speech rally. And in California, 15 years ago, I saw a communist show up to try and stifle rallies against illegal immigration. So we've got a mainstream media that, just like in Cuba, it's deceiving everybody and making bad people out to be good people and just ordinary citizens of every kind who want to practice their First Amendment rights as villains.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a real mess here. This is very, very serious.
No, I agree. This is another thing, really, it drove me crazy lately when they start to associate the idea nationalist with racist. This is so bad, because you can see where it's coming from. If you have a person like use your brain, that's easy to understand. But when you are just listening to the propaganda and you get brainwashed, okay, now they say nationalist, racist. Nationalist, racist. I mean, there are two different concepts. Nationalist,
exactly.
You means you believe in the concept of nation, as I said, with the concept of sovereign borders and sovereign laws. Like in this case, the supreme law of the land is our U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. But the point is, people don't maybe understand, or people, they don't know that behind all this is not just a bunch of thugs, with a mask and, trying to tell you racist, racist, racist. No, this is a plan of a group of very powerful people who control the media, of course, and then now they have the fear that their global government plan is slowing down. I'm not a fan of Trump in every sense, because he's a man that has a lot of things can improve. But let me put it in this way. One thing I really think is doing some sort of good is slowing down the agenda of globalism. So the idea that we are all now under this global government is coming to a point that they are fearing, all these free trade agreements, all the things that they are not free at all, this sort of dissolution of our sovereignty. The man seems like genuinely is trying to stop it. So I really believe now they need to create this sort of a fear into us. Every time you say, I'm a nationalist, I believe in concept of borders and sovereign, you're a racist, period.
That's correct. That is their narrative. That's what they're doing. I always wondered about the media, Luca, because even in California, years and years ago, when you and I lived there and we did our rallies against illegal immigration, the media was not with us. There were rallies that were huge, and television stations would come out and they would really not report upon them. They would not show a handful of American citizens standing up to a bunch of illegal aliens and their supporters while they threw trash at us and do it everything, and were sometimes violent. The media wouldn't do it. And I kept wondering about that, and I did a lot of digging, and some things are very interesting that play on to the day and what the media is doing because, like what you were saying, they have this narrative. Anybody that's a nationalist, well, that automatically means you're a white supremacist. It means you're a racist. It means you're no good. They want to do away with the concept of the American citizen in its entirety. We've seen partial replacement of American citizens through the use of illegal aliens, and then they went further and they started bringing in refugees from all over the world, which we cannot not afford. Yeah. We're $20 trillion in debt. We can afford nothing. And the Barack Obama administration advanced the concept of the New Americans, the task force on New Americans, which meant bringing in a lot of refugees and putting them throughout the country. These are the things that Barack Obama did. But I had to go back and I had to look at what's happening with the media, and it was a former director of the Central Intelligence Agency, William Colby, who many years ago said that the CIA controlled nearly every news establishment of importance in America. This was years ago.
Yes.
He retired, and then he was murdered, and lots of games are playing there. Wow. The Central Intelligence Agency has been involved in many things that are objectionable and questionable in the United States. They have brought drugs in. They've been doing that forever, facilitating the sales of drugs within the United States that they bring in to make money to do different things that they do. And they even at one time had mind control programs, which were actually very successful. You never hear about that. But this is where they manufacture the so-called crazy people that go out and kill other people and such. And it's even rumored that they probably murdered President Kennedy, his brother Bobby Kennedy, and even Martin Luther King. Anyways, what we get from all of this is that there has been for quite some time a group of powerful individuals, maybe it's an oligarchy in the United States, that control everything, the Congress, the presidency, everything, and who are pushing us towards a globalist environment where we have no borders. The illegal immigration movement, of course, said to us that we had no southern border. Not really, because no real effort was made to control that border, and that it would have been easy, yet they make it seem like it's impossible. Now we fast forward to the problems that we have with our mainstream media lying. The blessing of Charlottesville, Virginia, whether one likes white nationalists or not, because they were the ones that took out the permits for that park. Whether one likes them or not, they had a right, they had a permit, and they were stopped by the government itself and this communist column that we call Antifa, who are the foot soldiers for, I don't know, a lot of people talk about George Soros and his power, but what I look at, Luca, is I see nobody within government itself looking deeply into Antifa, the communist movement, which is obviously trying to topple the established order, and into George Soros. George Soros has been dealing in treason for a long time, and the reason I feel, Luca, that we don't get an honest report on everything by the government is because if it did, we would find that government itself is involved in what we're looking at. The objective, in my particular studied point of view, they want greater power to rule over us to the point that we cannot even object. They want to take away the Second Amendment. They want to take away the First Amendment. And they're using these Antifa fools and these Black Lives Matter fools as foot soldiers. I'm sure you know that there have been reports of these people being hired straight from ads that they place on different classified ad type environments, promising to pay them $50 an hour, $20 an hour, and reports, reliable reports have come. Say, for example, in Charlottesville, Virginia, there was a black man, very nice man, Charles Patrick, who put up a video. He said that he had direct information that some shiny new buses rolled up, and that in one of the buses you had people with Antifa outfits on, and in the bus right behind it, they had guys with KKK T-shirts on. And he said, how is this even possible? So really, I look at it, and what it is, I think it goes beyond Mr. Soros. I think this is something that's being ginned up. It's a psyop or some kind of operation by intelligence services to further control what we think, how we perceive events that are meant to actually break down what's left of freedom in the United States and roll us into this global order and create of us slaves, nothing more than slaves with very few freedoms. It's interesting how you say how you would be locked up in Italy for saying the things that you say routinely here.
Yeah.
I hear the same thing in England. I hear the same thing in Canada. And of Cuba, forget about it. They'll disappear you overnight. I don't want to be a part of that.
No.
I want to keep what's in the Bill of Rights for myself and my family, because that works.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wish you were wrong. I wish you were just a little bit too carried away. The same type of conclusion that you came, I came according to facts and evidence. This is not just some spontaneous movement of anarchists. That would be bad enough, by the way, But the point is, you can see it's a control opposition. It's a control.
Yes.
Think about just the fact. People should think about it. All this could be shut down if you were a white, regular, average American and trying to do the type of act of violence that these bastards been doing. You would have been, not even arrested. They would shoot you on the spot. Period. Okay?
Yes.
I mean, instead, you see all the different municipalities, all the different local governments, they've been giving the orders to the local, they've been commanding the local police enforcement to completely stand down. I mean, to let it happen. And this is something beyond politically correctness. This is a part of a plan. And these globalists, they really have as a general, let's say, modus operandi, a general way they operate, this sort of a system: problem, reaction, solution. They need to create this problem. Of course, they needed some sort of excuse. This now everything's Trump's fault. Don't get me wrong. The man is not perfect, but okay, no, it can be everything. I mean, when it was Obama, everything was fine. No matter what happens, it was the same. Now, we got bad weather. It's Trump's fault. And then I'll tell you something about the weather. I mean, the point is they're trying to blame everything on him. And of course, more important, now they need to be sure that everybody becomes, fearful to even mention that you are different from this socialist, globalist, wannabe, slave. Instead, say you believe in the Constitution, you must be racist. Oh, you believe in sovereignty, you must be racist.
Yes.
That's what they want. And more important, they want now, as you said, create a new stage. That because all this hell that they let happen, we're all going to pay the consequences. And I wouldn't be surprised martial law would be next door or next time, So, and more important, what I really am concerned, we're going to start to have these people that they think they are in power and legitimized by the same elected losers politicians. Because when you have a Democratic Party, or even worse, some Republican leaders, like the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, the piece of slime crap, okay, that could even denounce Antifa, because I don't know why, because maybe just he thinks that's not the right thing to do. At that point, these bastards, they really feel somehow legitimized, and almost they can get away like they did with Obama to do whatever they want. Because after all, there is no real stern opposition, or let's say criminalization, about that. So I'm concerned that we didn't see the worst yet. And let's not forget also, meanwhile, we have this out of the blue, the boogeyman, that, by the way, is really an ass and is really crazy. But at the same time, we don't forget that it's being funded by the same government that we're supposed to, the U.S. government has been giving billions of dollars to North Korea. That's my point. Started with the Clinton. I mean, whatever nukes reactor they have, it was given by our tax dollar. And now, out of the blue, this guy is getting loose. Is that an accident or maybe by design, because they need to create this new World War III? What do you think?
I think it is by design. We're being manipulated, have been for many, many, many years. The North Korea situation, they've had nukes for a while, and now they have the means of delivering those nukes to different parts of the country, and a big deal is being made out of that. Every sovereign country has the right to do what it wants to do. And I think the situation here, we need to take note of that, but it's almost like they want us to take the eye off the ball and focus on that and worry about that. Well, we're worried about that. We're not seeing what's happening internally right under our noses. My analysis of the United States today, Luca, is, for example, a lot of people, including myself, voted for Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to make it, really. And my focus is not Donald Trump, but on the United States. I think he was the best that was available from all those who were running, because so many were so utterly objectionable. But a lot of people have aligned themselves with Donald Trump, not the Republican Party, because they know that the Republican Party has a game that it likes to play, and it's called vote for us and we will stab you in the back. And they have done so repeatedly. The people know the Republican Party will stab them in the back, so now they go for Donald Trump and they work with Donald Trump through the Republican Party. Crooked as it is, the Democrat Party, that's a new communist party, no doubt about that. So the two main parties no longer represent the average patriotic American, which I think the majority of us in the United States are. The point here is that what kept the United States together is the average citizen, people like you and I who are patriotic. We love this country, we love the Constitution, the rights that we receive that are not available in other countries of the world. Forget about it. You don't have what you have here in every other country. America, to a high degree, is an exception. But we were the glue. We worked with the Democrat Party, we worked with the Republican Party, we worked with American government. And now there's this slide. We know that none of that is willing to work with us. The Republicans won't work with us. The Democrats won't work with us. American government is against the average American citizen. We're all in a corner with this guy, Donald Trump, who is not a perfect person, that's for sure, but he makes a lot of noise and he speaks his mind, so I like that. So what I'm saying is, it's like a book that, it has a binder. It has a set of glue in the back that keeps all the pages together. And in terms of the United States, the pages is the United States. The glue, average American patriotic citizen. That glue is gone. This place is ready to fall apart. It's divided between communists, welfare recipients who are highly aligned with the communists, people who work for a living like us, and then people who vote themselves a portion of our paycheck. They said 47% of Americans really don't work. Mm-hmm. They live off of the rest of us. You cannot keep a country together that way. The critical point that is coming up in the United States, in my opinion, in the next few years, is whether we will remain 50 states in a union, mm-hmm. or whether we will all go our different ways because we cannot be together, sort of like what happened to the former Soviet Union. You got 50 republics with their own constitutions here. Everybody can walk away and realign themselves, but it has gotten to the point that the way that things have been worked out by the powers that be, we can no longer remain a people united with this high percentage of communists, liberals who can't think straight, people from foreign lands that have been allowed to come here illegally on purpose, refugees that have been brought here on purpose who have no allegiance to our American way of life. They're just here to get whatever they can get, and to hell with the rest of it. It ain't working. It's like it's set up to fail so that somebody in the chaos can re-scoop it all up together and form into it what they want it to be. Something like the European Union with no real borders, and that's failing. We all know that. Yeah. Where we have no borders between the rest of South America and the rest of North America, and we're just a nothing. We're part of the North American Union, a country that no longer has an identity of its own, but is just, something in a stew, in a soup, a bean in a soup, with none of the dignity that it formerly possessed, and none of the freedoms. Very important here. Second Amendment rights. Your right to have a gun to protect yourself against government itself when it decides to militate against you. And of course, First Amendment rights, which we must have if we are to function as a republic of free men and women under a constitution. And by the way, I no longer believe us to be a free people.
No, you're right. Unfortunately, I really believe that this is exactly what they want, what they plan. And the fact that now people for a moment thought, okay, we are safe. We had Trump. We got all Republicans in power. We're going to be back to be great. Guess what? First of all, as I said many times, even if Trump had the best intentions, Even, of course, he's not perfect on everything. Right now, we see that he cannot do everything he wants. So much that is bending over on many points that he completely was opposing just before the elections. I mean, that's a fact. So, and more important, you see, Congress, it's a joke. It's a if people still believe that we have two-party system, you know, you need to go really to a shrink and get some medication because, I mean, Obamacare was the latest revelation, hopefully, even for the latest, you know, most naive people out there who still, you know, worship the GOP. Wake up. You see that we've been scammed all these years. It was
yes,
like
we have.
You know, all this show, oh, we cannot repeal Obamacare because Obama would, you know, not sign it. Guess what? Now that we had the president wanting to sign at least some sort of whatever, removing this crap, still the Republicans stab us in the back. So the reality is they all follow an agenda. And now the real, what I see right now, it is the final chaos. As you said, they want to create so much chaos that at the end they can do whatever they want and recreate this new world order shape America. That is not going to be, because I tell you, if really we come into a point that we start with civil war, and we're already there. I mean, the point is because maybe we don't live in big cities, but if you live in the wrong zip code, they're already coming at your door, okay? Just because your color of the skin is different, or maybe you don't like their ideas. Your life is in danger right now. That's not living like free in a free country anymore. I mean, try to wear, like, say, a Confederate flag hat in the wrong zip code, they're going to kill you. As simple as that.
That's right.
Okay, that's not freedom of speech. I mean, but then more important, you see the economic collapse is next. And they will try to blame all on Trump because, you know, after all, now it's Trump's fault. Don't get me wrong. Nobody really is addressing how to stop this bleeding, you know. But for sure, we've been bled to death the last 20, 30 years. And, of course, Obama did a great job, more than all presidents combined, completely putting us out of business. But at the same time, you know, now would be the perfect time to make it happen because we've been propped by sugar. You know, like a body without any bones, just with some, you know, sugar and water. And out of the blue, you stop the sugar, all this printed paper that is not even printed anymore. All they need to do is start to create an inflation, or more important, completely deflation, and bang, the machine is going to go on starvation, you know. If you have no more cash going around, the Federal Reserve, this private Federal Reserve, they can destroy this country anytime they want. And then, of course, unfortunately, this uncertainty to go to war anytime with some, you know, foreign enemy that has no face, like, you know, always there is going to be all the Taliban, or they're going to be ISIS. Next time it's going to be another name. And of course, now it's North Korea. Because after all, ISIS, we realized that was a scam created by the Pentagon and by the CIA. It's funded by the former administration. So I don't know. I just pray in a miracle because I really realized that this is not over. It is just the beginning. But what can we do right now? I think we keep doing what we're doing. Wake up as many. I don't care if you're American, if you're German, if you're Italian, wherever you're from, if you believe in the cause of freedom and you don't want to be a global slave, we gotta somehow wake up each other. Because at the end, we're going to face much more than just higher taxes. I mean, we're talking about depopulation. We're talking about, of course, a destruction of every form of rights. When you live under martial law, only the elite is going to have some sort of, you know, they're going to have it good. We're going to be slaves. Do you still have contacts in Cuba? Do you still have family or friends? I'm just curious.
Yes, I do. Actually, I do. I have a cousin that's a very respected doctor over there, and she makes the equivalent of $25 American dollars a month. She teaches at a university. The whole system of communism is an absolute failure. All it ever produces is misery. Some of my family members have been sent off to Venezuela. This is part of what the communist regime does. It exports doctors, but there isn't any real medicine or anything. And of course, you see what's happened in Venezuela. There's Cuban military troops out there, and Venezuela has now fallen under the disease of communism, and it has yielded what it always does. When you don't pay a person for working, they're not going to work. And under communism, nobody really gets compensated as they should for what they do, so they don't really work. And when people don't work, you don't have raw materials to work with, which are produced by people. You don't have products because everything is centralized planning, and it always fails. Venezuela is now going hungry. It has no food, and more than that, it's hungry for freedom that it no longer has. And now that crap is being attempted here in the United States. You know, the ruling elites, Luca, to me, they don't care what system they use. They will use communism.
Yeah.
They will use super capitalism, whatever the tool is, and you never get to know what the real game is. But they do exist, and it's quite obvious that they intend to take this place down. We're very close to being collapsed. You talked about the Republican and the Democrat Party, which a lot of us now refer to as a uniparty.
Yeah.
The uniparty. There really aren't two. It's like you mentioned about Obamacare. They had more than 7 or 8 years to contemplate what to do about it, the Republicans. And what did they produce? Nothing. We still have Obamacare. You know, people have to take their clues from what they're seeing, and this is why I say that on one side of the aisle, you got all the patriotic Americans who know they cannot rely on either party. And on the other side of the aisle, you got all the flakes, the communists, the Antifas. And I have a theory about these people. Not only are they hired, but there are some true Marxists, some true communists in this country. It's like in the family unit when you're growing up, you're a little kid and you're dependent upon mommy and daddy. And as you grow up, you become more independent and you do things for yourself. You make your own decisions. I think a lot of these communist types here in the United States, they never grew up. They never grew up beyond the stage of dependency. So they need to create something that is like mommy and daddy, and that's the all-powerful central state that tells them what to do, when to do it, what they can have, what they cannot have. They're not suited to being individuals and freedom. They can't do it. So they want to bring everybody else down to their level, and that's why they're communists. Freedom has many responsibilities. Communism, which is a form of tyranny, tyranny is easy. Just do what they tell you to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. Many people, unfortunately, need that.
Yes, they do, yeah.
They want to feel somehow that at least they know what to do and they don't need to worry about anything. And you're right. This is not just a paid-off fake or rebellion. There are people that have been indoctrinated by our school system and the media, and the whole plan that's been long time set. I mean, they are real Marxists in this country. I remember when 20 years ago, 19 years ago, I was applying for my visa just to come here. Forget about becoming a citizen, just to become with a visa. There was in the questionnaire, probably something that is still there, even of course is obsolete in my opinion. They should change it because it's a reality now. Are you ever been part of the Communist Party? If you say yes, probably they would have denied you. Now, if you say yes, I think they're going to give you free housing and probably a free sandwich. I mean, they're going to give you double points. Okay, that's the reality. That's the people they want. That's why they've been really, the elite has been trying to create no more this melting pot. Like normally we used to have people from Europe, people from Africa, people from everywhere a little bit, according to what the country really needs. And at that point you have a mix of immigration. No, they wanted mostly slaves coming from third world countries because they know they can manipulate them, and they were already being used to be in bondage as in socialistic countries. So nothing really is going to change because that's the system they want. The elite, they want to call it communism or they want to call it fascism, is the same. Is the point that government control every aspect of your life, and they are above the governments because they control the government. That's the way the system works. That's why they're not worried about fascism or communism, because they are above the government. They control government. So that's why we are the one that will be enslaved by our own government. Listen, I want to give you the floor. Whatever you want to say, whatever you think it's happening also up there in your state where you live, you got the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that having looked at what's happened for the last number of years, I can see Barack Obama clearly as an individual who is a tool of these ruling elites. I believe he was groomed for the spot of President of the United States. He became that, and everything that he did has been god-awful. He trampled on us with his Obamacare, which I hold that is unconstitutional. I don't care what the Supreme Court said. They said, well, if it's a tax, you can do it. It was never declared to be a tax. And everybody just rolled over, and here we are with Obamacare. 1/6 of the economy was seized when he did that. It really wasn't about health care. It was about taking over part of the economy, consolidating more power for the elites that run everything. Mr. Obama, I don't figure that he's very intelligent at all, that he has no real set of skills that make him invaluable to anybody. He was nothing more than a dumb community organizer, a communist, and a tool for the people that are really running this country. And he did his part spectacularly. He really did split this country apart. Unfortunately, when we look at all of the United States, everybody talks about George Soros, George Soros, George Soros. Here in Wyoming, I've learned that he has a tremendous amount of influence. He has lobbyists everywhere lobbying the state. So all 50 states, we have all kinds of problems that have been generated by people who want to destroy this country, because that is the plan. Rip it apart, then put it together in whichever way you want, but the people will be in confusion. You will have states who will possibly even be warring against other states if this works out the way that they want it to. I see it all as an intelligence operation being brought about by powerful individuals. Mr. Donald Trump, I'm glad he's there. They're doing everything possible to get rid of him. If they cannot impeach him in 2018, because the plan is to remove him and to put in somebody who is friendlier to the overall plan, then there is the possibility that we will see him assassinated. It's unbelievable to me, Luca, what I look at when I see the mainstream media, the criticisms they make of this man, even plans for assassination, and people applauding it. We're a country that's been divided along the lines of race, because this is a tool for taking down the country. The country of South Africa, which I have studied, was founded by whites. Then, because of apartheid, the world bounced on them. They gave up apartheid. They embraced the communists. The African National Congress came in and were given a seat at the table of government. They happened to be communists. And so they took over the country. The whites now are in a dire situation. Many laws have been put together that are reverse discrimination against whites. Whites cannot hold a job even practically in South Africa. The world does nothing about them. And here in the United States, communists have successfully used the issue of race to divide the people and to create problems that formerly did not exist. And this is one of the tools in the tool bag of these ruling elites, as they pit us one against the other based on race, nationality. We have all this illegal immigration. We have all these people coming in from the third world who will never assimilate, who will never be able to hold a job together. We got to get it together as American citizens, put our differences away, confront reality as best we can, and not allow the tearing up of our country. And good luck, because it is through our tax monies that are seized from us in what I call legalized theft that all of these things are funded, that are meant to restructure our lives, our way of living and thinking. So this is a real challenge that's been put up before the American people, a people who have been deceived, a people who every evening when they turn on the mainstream media news are being programmed and lied to by the state apparatus, because that's all that it is at this moment in time. God help us, because I don't think we can do it alone, Luca.
I agree. No, we need, regardless of what people believe in, which deity or gods, I mean, we need superior help, because this is the odds that are really against us. And as I said, this is way beyond, more taxes or less taxes. This is about the complete restructuration of a country. We are in the middle of a revolution. And we are the counter-revolution. This is not about revolution to create freedom. This is a revolution to create complete the destruction of America, and of course, on its ashes, the New World Order. Frank, I appreciate you so much, and please be safe out there. Keep me posted. If there is anything going on, let's communicate. I want you back anytime, okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless. Keep up the good work. Take care. Bye-bye.
Very good. Please don't go away. I have some other information in this hour, and then, of course, we will go the second hour, the hour about guns. I don't want to remind you one thing. You see, we talk about on the show about things that normally, remember last Sunday, I talk about flat earth. Many people say, what, are you crazy? Guess what? No, we are not crazy. We have freedom of speech, and we bring everything here with logic. We may agree or not. Sometimes I don't agree with my guests. Doesn't matter. But we can talk about this on the show, about everything we want. And reason why? Because I can stand, really, with your support. I don't need to go out there and beg for sponsors. Because many times sponsors, they're going to tell you, oh, you can say that, or you can talk about but this party. I mean, we can talk about everything we want here because we are free. Okay, of course, Skate Talks appreciate it because it's the station broadcasting the show, and that means a lot. But regardless, I go also on the internet, and we have freedom of speech. So, but I need your help. If you need to support, if you want to support the show, regardless you agree or not, but remember, you have always a microphone open here. Go to www.zanna.us and you can see whatever you can download, 99-cent songs, or you want to buy Zanna coffee, or you want to attend one of my classes, you're more than welcome. Or buy one of my ebooks, zanna.us. Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Are you ready to get lost in lust? Immerse yourself in a thunderstorm of emotions and passion. Order Gianluca Zanna's new book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 Erotic Visions and Love Poems, with forbidden erotic Italian phrases. Perfectly Crazy by Gianluca Zanna. Available all over the world at Amazon.com and www.zanna.us.
Here we go. We are back into the studio. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Okay, this was Frank Jorge. By the way, I would like to remind you, I forgot to tell you, Frank has his own radio show on the internet. And it's a really good show, by the way. I like him a lot. And, he had a show, I guess, even before I had my own radio show. So it's kind of, that's the way I always say, we inspire each other. Okay, that's the point. And I've been guest on his show, and that's the opportunity I would like to share with you. Every one of us, every one of you, even if you don't have a radio station broadcasting your show, you can start your own show on the internet. This tool that we have today, it's priceless, and also it's very affordable. Okay, let me tell you this. There are people out there that try to sell you things, and they're trying to get you in, paying for a radio show, podcast. You don't even have to do that. You can create your own show, okay? And I will give you information. If you want to do that, I'm not here to be the only dog in town or to be the hog or to try to be. I wish there were more people out there doing what I'm trying to do here, because I'm sure, first of all, you can do even better. And also, more people do that, and more we can be effective. This is not about being popular. This is not about, getting, I want to be on the radio because I want to make money. At least I believe we need to make money, and that's great. I believe in free market. Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, this is for me right now, as I said, is an act of extreme love to try to wake up our fellow human beings. And when I say human beings, I'm a nationalist, that I believe in America, but I also believe that every free human beings around the world who wants to join us in this struggle for freedom is our brother, is our sister. Okay? I respect their sovereignty. At the same time, we should unite together as human beings to fight these globalist bastards. That's my humble opinion. So that's why I say, if you want to, that's why internet is so powerful. Don't get discouraged just because maybe, I don't know, you don't have a station to broadcast your show, or maybe because you don't have the money to, to give to some network on the internet to broadcast your show. You can create your own show. Don't do that mistake, okay? You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You don't need to pay anybody. Sometimes people approach me, I have a radio station, approach me, they want to charge me that money for that show. Listen, you do what you want. But in my opinion, you shouldn't pay a dime. You should create a good product, and hopefully the station can sell advertisement. That's the bottom line. Now, talking about Frank, before I forget, his show is called The Frank Jorge Show. The Frank Jorge is a Jorge show. You can find it on Spreaker.com and also on Frank and Friends internetradioshow.com. Okay, so that's the point. And I tell you, you can be very effective creating your own platform. With $20, $30 a month, you can make it. You can start at least, That's the point. That's the point. Now, please contact Frank and listen to his show. Has a lot of great information. And also, as I said, his point of view as a former, man from a country that is not exactly a beacon of freedom. Talking about Cuba, people that are still suffering in prison in camps as political dissidents. Okay, everybody likes to talk about, you know, how Hitler was evil, and he was. But communism has never been, let's say, by design, it's never been exposed, because communism killed more people than the Hitler and all the Nazi put together. That's the bottom line. And it's still killing people, communism. That's the reality. So anyway, and before I was talking about, you know, nationalism, you know, I want to be sure that this is understood. Not because I care what people really think about me, honestly, but this is because it's about all of us. I wrote this little letter on the King Medellin miner, okay? And I want to read it to you, because that would answer the problem, the questions. You know, and the question, my letter was the headline, "I'm a proud nationalist." And the miner, King Medellin miner, give a different headline, "Nationalist is not racist." That's fine. Let me read you the letter so you know exactly why I think what they're doing to us, or what they're trying to do to us. Who? Let me start with them. The globalists are using the control media and the useful pawns of several leftist groups like Antifa and BLM to try to associate the word nationalist with racist. The real truth is that their goal is to suppress nationalist as a concept of those who oppose the global government. I do not play this pathetic, politically correct game. Let me make clear why I am a proud nationalist. I'm a nationalist because I believe in sovereignty and the concept of nation with borders and sovereign laws. I oppose and do not submit to any global government or any similar kumbaya, feel-good global citizens Kool-Aid. I do not recognize the United Nations and its unconstitutional regulations or laws, since I never elected anybody to represent me in that foreign political organization. I am an American first and only, so much that I have renounced to my former Italian citizenship. I recognize as the supreme law of the land the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights that I took an oath to defend when I became a naturalized American. I believe that all humans are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Period. Government does not give me any rights, especially global government. I judge men by their actions, not by the color of their skin. If this makes me a racist, so be it. Long live the Republic. Look at Zanna. This is pretty much explains what I'm trying to tell you here. They try to use this, by the way, planned, because these are not even spontaneous groups of insurgency in our own country. All these groups, Antifa or whatever, BLM, they're all being planned and designed by the globalists. Yes, these people are real useful idiots. They're violent, they're real, but they're being planned and paid and supported and funded by this sort of agenda. The agenda to create chaos, now to disrupt every attempt of President Trump that is not perfect, as I said, but one thing he's trying to do, in my opinion, at least he's trying to slow down this sort of global government. When he's trying to stop this international treaty, like the different NAFTA and the different type of course, we're talking about the Paris Treaty and global warming that we know is a scam also to subjugate us and to create this new sort of a serf society. With the carbon tax, we're all going to become slaves just because we breathe. So the point is they're trying to stop Trump in every way they can. And more important, they need to create chaos and they need to create this new fear to any of us. If you are a proud nationalist, as I said, nationalist is not racist. Nationalist means I believe in the concept of nation. Now they try to make it associate this word to racist. So it's up to you guys. I don't play this game. They want to call me racist, that's fine. I don't care. As I said, I judge people by their actions, not by their color or the way they look. Okay, that's the bottom line. Now, ready for our number 2. We're going to have a great information. By the way, this is always a process. I have guessed that people look at this when you're in business as a competition. I look at them like an opportunity to get better, to stimulate each other, to create a better product. So I'm not afraid of competition so much that even business that they do the same things I do. Like I say, for example, the radio station, I want you on the radio, I want you on the air or on the internet. More is better. Same story when it comes down to the gun business. Sometimes people feel intimidated because, I do teach classes like a concealed carry permit and firearm training. I will invite on my show the competition, or what they call themselves the competition, because I don't look at them as a competition. Look at them like we could collaborate, we could create better things, and more important, we can give a better service out there. So I'm working on having people that normally, they would be afraid to even talk to me because they think I'm the competition. I am not. I'm your friend, or at least I am a fair, let's say, business that wants to try to increase the quality of the products for our customers. That's the bottom line. And let the best man or women or company, let's say, prosper. I think that's the way the Spirit America was founded, to create better products, competing with each other, learning from each other. So I will have here on my show, even when it comes down to gun training, companies that normally they would do the same thing I do. And I welcome them, as I said. And maybe we can find some collaboration. I always look for that. So now, talking about, how this show we can keep it alive, I need your help. As I said, please go to www.zanna.us. I do many things, and I'm very blessed that I can do many things in life, so I don't need to depend on any specific thing. One thing, if you can help the show, you can listen and download any of my more than 100 songs you can find on Amazon. Just put Gianluca Zanna. You can find, of course, also my songs on Zanna.us. Also, if you want, you can download my books. Go to Amazon and put my name, Gianluca Zanna, or go to Zanna.us. Then, of course, there is a new website, ar15shop.us. Go there and look how many opportunities and products and great value and great prices and free shipping on all my uppers. Then another important thing, we have a new joint venture. That's why I like to collaborate with, my friend, and also, we work together. 360 Media Productions, www.360mediaproductions.com. With Charles Black, we create video, multimedia marketing, aerial drone production, amazing stuff. Just look on the website. So that's the way I like to live life. To create, to produce, not being afraid, to go out there and at the same time think, oh my gosh, there is competition. You know what? This is a big market. There is space for everybody, and I welcome you. I welcome you on the show. Okay, by the way, I need your help. That's the bottom line, though. You are the most important, valuable advertiser, my listener, because in this way, I will be able to keep always freedom of speech on this show. Ready for hour number 2? Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.